And we've got a start in this final of the 3rd World Youth Netball Championships. Australia quick to attack the circle. And immediately a penalty with Cheryl Clark out of play. And Louise Southby runs off to gather the ball, steadies for the opening shot of the match. Drops short, put that one down to Nurse, but Cox strong under the post. Australia on the board. Temapara George at centre for New Zealand. Quickly finds Lofhagen. And that is a confident shot from the New Zealand shooter, formerly a member of the New Zealand Open squad, and as we mentioned in the opener, a very experienced side here for the defending champions. Few people brave to split these two and predict an outcome. Good ball from Southby to Cox. And Cox in fine form for Australia, 2 from 2.
And we've seen a much more confident opening from Australia than what we saw in the playoff. They were very tentative and made a few handling errors to start with.
Yes, I think Little separated the teams as he watched them through the rounds, but that playoff really gave New Zealand the edge. They looked a little more confident in their respective semi than did Australia against New Zealand, but it's perhaps sharpened them up. 2 apiece in what we can expect to be a goal-for-goal contest, as is traditional between the world's top 2 netball nations. Temapara George puts an intercept into New Zealand hands, but the reply comes from Peter Squire. She holds it up now to find the attack. Cobb hesitates, and that's something that Norma Plummer's been working on with the young Australian side, to let the ball go, let the ball do the work. That was a confident shot. Too much on it from Catherine Cox. Southby and Cox, certainly a combination of the future in goals for Australia. So too Cobb and Howie through the middle. If you had to pick an area that's, well, not less, but less experienced, it's probably the defence for Australia. Certainly talented, but less in the experience department.
Yes, that's exactly right. I think what we've seen here in the starting lineup is most players out there have participated in our Mobile League of the last few years. Barrett, Nat Reid and Janie Branford, and I think that experience of the Mobile League will stand the Australian players in very good stead.
Well, the respective national leagues of both Australia and New Zealand are in big part responsible for the standard of play we're about to witness. Both countries enjoying an extremely strong domestic competition. As Belinda Colling puts one on the board for New Zealand, 3 apiece, nearly 3 minutes into the first quarter. The girls actually playing on a track. A great intercept there from Bernice Meni, the New Zealand captain, and fine approach from Temapara George. Despite the contact from Howie, she went over the top to find the goaler.
And that's trademark play from Bernice Meni, coming out and taking that interception. And here we see reading the ball beautifully and passing it on to Vicky Edwards, and so it goes on down.
Fine drive from Temapara George through the court then for New Zealand. She's approaching the Kiwi circle with a great deal of confidence. And tight marking there from their wing defence, Vicky Edward. My apologies to the Edward family. I think I named Vicky and Edwards in the opener. I'm sure you'll forgive me after that intercept. About to say the players actually strutting their stuff on a track and field venue. In fact, we're sitting, Jill, on part of the track, and the girls are centre of the track, and it's a concrete floor with virtually a carpet overlay. So whilst the speed can be maintained, it's pretty heavy on the legs for the high work.
Yes, it has been heavy on the legs over the 2 weeks of the tournament, and all coaches really have rotated their players very well.
That's why teams now bringing 12 players to world events. Used to be 10 was the pattern. The scoreline, New Zealand 5, lead Australia 4. Just over 4 minutes into this first quarter. Australia now with the chance to equalise. Hesitate through the middle slightly till they find Cobb. Cox puts it across court to Cobb, but the ball wasn't good. And Vicky Edward having a fine game around the periphery of the circle. High ball from Meni, finds Anna Robury. Good movement from Donna Lofhagen. And New Zealand looking good, Jill, in the opening stages of the match.
Yeah, they're looking very good. I think the experience of playing in the Silver Ferns is really starting to show out, and they've settled much more quickly than the young Australians.
6-4, New Zealand lead. Well, Anna Robury, Temapara George, Bernice Meni, all three recently in Australia for the Milo Cup, Australia versus New Zealand. That series won convincingly by Australia, but a good breeding ground for our up-and-coming players. Australia trail by just the one. Robury holds her feet up, works it outside the circle to George, but she can't collect. Penalty will go against Australian captain Susie Howie. Susie Howie made the comment yesterday that she's never been in a losing lineup when she's teamed up with Eloise Southby. So the Australians will be hoping that pattern continues.
Yes, the Australian defence down there is attracting a little bit of whistle, probably too much for a liking of Coach Norma Plummer.
We should acknowledge the umpires for this match. Right of camera, Ibrahim Norpissa Ibrahim, representing Malaysia. And on the far side of the court, as you see, running the sideline, Margaret Deegan from England, but at this event representing Lesotho. Cox in good form, brings it back to just one the difference.
I think that's what we've been used to seeing, is the feeders finding Catherine Cox on her drive into the post.
We said at the start we thought Cox could be a match winner in this final. She really needs, though, to sustain the workload for the full 4 quarters. Very few criticisms you can make of her, but that perhaps one.
Yeah,
Keep up the effort.
She's still young and inexperienced, and she's learning all the time. And one of the things she will learn is that we need a 60-minute high, consistent effort from her.
Southby lines up the post for Australia, and she does that well and equalises 7 apiece. Just over 8 minutes left in the first quarter, and as we expected, a fine battle between these two young sides. And what a ball! Southby to Cox, threaded it through the New Zealand defence, and Australia hit the lead. Good touch there from Cox, who's putting the workload in defence, deep down to the transverse line. Reed this time out of play for Australia.
I think for our Australian audience, they wouldn't be used to seeing Belinda Colling in goal attack. She toured Australia as a wing attack in the Silver Ferns outfit.
Cobb to Howie. Again, Edward thwarting the drive for Cobb, but she finds space at the top of the circle, a popular feeding spot. 9-8, scoreline favours Australia. Last time Australia and New Zealand met at this level was last year, 1995, a 3-test series, many of the faces different, but Australia winning that series 2-1. The scorelines were 46-45. 63-45, New Zealand winning the third by 8 at 59-51. Reed unable to pull it in. It'll be a no, it's on court, a penalty with Colling out of play. Howie under pressure from George. Cobb hits the floor, and I'm sure she'll feel that one. It's not very forgiving, this floor, but it's a beautiful venue at the University of Toronto. Cox again, Southby threading it close to the post. Australia 10-9.
Cox and Southby finding each other very nicely in the circle there.
And a fine balance between these two teams. 5 minutes into the game, it felt like New Zealand had opened the better of the two, but Australia now starting to find their rhythm. I think you and I had better have a bit of endurance for this one as Colling equalises 10 apiece.
Yes, it's shaping up to be a classic Australia-New Zealand clash at any level.
Oh, good work from Meni, working hard at the top of the circle. Penalty pass or shot taken by Cox. And I think her stats are shaping up nicely. The Australian goal attack in good form. Beautiful hands, Colling. Onto Robury. That was a nice combination for New Zealand, and it's rewarded by Donna Lockhagen, who's looking very comfortable in goals. In fact, Jill, the coaches will have little concern with their forward lines, particularly with the efforts of the goalers.
No, all throughout the tournament, both teams, whatever shooting lineup they've put on, their percentages have been very, very high and consistently high. And that's what you're after at this level.
Well, against the weaker teams, there's been 80s and high 90s shot. But in this caliber match, you don't expect it to reach quite that proportion. But if they're sitting in the 80s, you could be well pleased with their effort, given the pressure. Southby takes Australia to a 12-11 lead. This match, the gold medal game. Lockhagen, too much on it. Branford in good position, holds Lockhagen out from the rebound. Australia quickly into attack. Howie connects with Cobb at stretch. Howie with the drive to the circle. Over to Cox. Clark tackles it, but she comes from behind. Not good positioning from her. And I had a wonder, a doubt at the beginning of the game whether Clark would be able to match Cox given her height.
Yes, I was a little bit surprised to see Clark out there, I must admit. We have seen Bernice Many running out on goal defence, and I thought the height of Cox may have made sure that Bernice was running out on her.
Australia now take it to 3, just under 4 minutes left in the opening quarter. That's the highest margin we've seen so far. Colling steps it in, fine shot. Should point out that the placings for this year's event have already been settled from 3 through to 18. England finishing in 3rd ahead of Western Samoa, Jamaica in 5th, South Africa 6th, Wales, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Cook Islands number 10. Lockhagen continues on a shooting spree for New Zealand, the difference just 2. Clear indication from Margaret Deacon that Cobb used the shoulder in her attacking move. And the turnover, the reply at the other end, comes from Norpissa Ibrahim. And it's a bit like a tennis match.
Bit of ping pong going on out there at the moment. Few nerves still trying to settle into this first quarter.
Just listening to the reception for the two teams from the rest of the pack. The other 16 participating teams, and hard to split where the loyalties lay. I think they're evenly divided between support for Australia and support for New Zealand.
Yes, I think there's about a 50-50 split, and I think it's great to see. And I think what a wonderful exhibition of netball we're seeing at the moment from...
Beautiful work from Clark over the shot and the backup, the support play from a skipper. Gives New Zealand a chance to bring it within 1. And Lockhagen, she'll earn a drink at the break. Kiwi bench there in full support for their side. And both coaches with plenty of room to manoeuvre. If they want to find the balance, there's some strong benches from which to draw.
Oh yes, both teams have brought 12 very fine players with them, and we saw from New Zealand a far different lineup than we see here tonight when they played Western Samoa in the semis. And they played equally as well.
Another turnover to New Zealand. New Zealand running it home well to the quarter break. 1 minute 48 on the clock. Colling just shot the equaliser to make it 15 all, and now the intercept from Many gives them a chance to hit the front just before they take the break. Robry working the circle well. Swings it across to George, allowing the shooters to reposition. Lockhagen in good position. New Zealand hit the front. And the centre to follow. This could be 2 going to the break. Lockhagen with a good stretch. She's under pressure from Jane Branford, who got up well and had front position. Something she'll need to continue throughout the match rather than sag back.
Yeah, she'll have to stay out in that front position because she doesn't want to attract the umpire's whistle. They do not allow much from behind or from the side.
Susie Howie encouraging a quick return of the ball and asking the players to keep in the contest. Well, they hesitated about going through the front door and looked at their defenders at the back of the centre. Now they find second gear, but again, Many. Have to nickname her the spoiler. Southby puts a hold on, steadies now for the shot. Wasn't much on it, but enough to find the net. Won the difference. Under a minute remaining. Of course, the clock stops on the scoreboard. The umpire's whistle deciding the finish. New Zealand take it back to 2. And I suspect neither coach will make positional changes. Rather, they'll allow the teams to settle in through the game. Magnificent shot from Cox. And the timekeeper is up. She signals the end of the first quarter. A torrid quarter. It's difficult to think they could keep this pace. Welcome back. Well, Australia quick to make up the deficit. Scoreline now reading New Zealand 19, Australia 18. Australia had the restart and were quick to score. Cox in fine form puts another one on the board to equalise for Australia. And as we expected, no changes to either team. Both travelling well, and coaches no doubt allowing them to settle into the match. And Jill McIntosh, that opening quarter was played at a relentless pace.
It was very frantic, and I think by the scoreline 18-17, that's a lot of goals scored in 15 minutes. I think both forward lines are working very well, and the defence are having their time cut out, stopping them.
Australia in attack. Howie under pressure from George. She'll take the penalty pass, connects with Cox. Cross to the corner, finds Cobb. Double up to Cox. And she slams that one home for Australia. And she's been in great form. Let's have a look at the stats for the first quarter and just see how well the shooters are rewarding the court play, Jill.
Yes, it's excellent from both sides, and I think it just shows how even both sides are. 19 shots from Australia and 20 shots from New Zealand, with excellent percentages.
It's difficult to imagine the high 80s and 90s maintained across the whole match at international level, but certainly pretty to see a 92 and 100% against names on the score sheet. 21-20, New Zealand lead Australia in this final of the third World Youth Cup, coming to you live from the University of Toronto in Canada. Australia play catch-up, 21 apiece. And Jill, all the teams are living in at the University of Toronto, and the facility's been very good for them.
Yes, it has been. It's been a great facility, and we see here at the field house how they've turned in an indoor track into a netball court, and they've been quite adaptive in the way they've done it. We were here late last night on hands and knees,
I was just going to mention
preparing the court.
Yeah, throughout the championships, there has been a two-court configuration that's been swung around for the finals, so there's just a single court with more seating for the crowd, but there were multiple lines in multiple colours on the court, so officials and friends
yes.
here late last night, and directors, taping the court. And out of courtesy to our viewers, we won't be showing you Jill McIntosh's knees. They're scraped and grazed from a hard night's work. 22 apiece. Ball dropped for New Zealand to pick up. George at the top of the circle finds Lochhagen, well placed close to the post, and no sign of her diminishing her form in goals. It's going to be a real test for young heads. Wonderful ball. Cox opens up the shoulder and finds Southby, well timed, close to the post.
It's a lovely feed by Catherine Cox, saw it well, and Eloise finished it off nicely.
Very few errors from either side. Lochhagen.
And here we see the Australian ball. Catherine Cox finding Eloise Southby beautifully right by the post.
Well, that one was a bullet. Howie steps into the player, but is an obstruction call. So she's lucky on that one because had the distance been good, probably would have worked the other way. Cox confident to take the shots from anywhere in the circle. Something I think of an Australian trademark in shooting, and both Southby and Cox, and indeed also Jackie Delaney and Nat Sloan on the bench, all confident to put them up from anywhere. I understand there's a bit of a party going on in the early hours of the morning at the Sloan house. The Millers are there. You're pleased to know the girls have been performing well, and that Karen's been adopted by Mrs. Sloan, who's here in Canada. A good Australian contingent and a fine New Zealand contingent. They're doing battle on the sideline. Howie advances with a penalty. Good ball. Cobb with great vision to find Cox driving the base. One of the few, though, that doesn't fall for her. Australia trailed the defending champions by 1. 5 minutes gone in the second quarter. Both teams picked up good sponsorship from Fisher and Paykel, and that's going to allow them some very good contests in the years to come, Jill.
Yes, I think the one good thing about is that New Zealand and Australia will now meet annually at both Open and under 21s, and that's great for the sport, great for New Zealand and Australian netball.
And Anna Robury takes down the signage. He hit the deck in no mean way. It's quick to her feet. Australian bench there. Physio Leanne Kelsa. Manager Flo Starkovic. Help me here, you're a Western Australian.
Oh, yes, Starkovic.
And Norma Plummer, the Australian coach, herself a former Australian player, knows all about netball in the world arena, and of course renowned in Australia as coach of the Melbourne Puma Club. Recent winners of our National League at home. Southby, one of her key players in that club side. Also Howie, the Australian captain, running at centre. Colling. Robury trying to sneak some space for herself so the ball could be dropped. But good pressure from Peter Squire. Drops back into the free space. A nice move from Roby. She should pay credit to George for holding up that pass then and having patience until the space was found. A trademark for New Zealand, who really worked the space and the angles nicely in attack.
Yes, I think the audience can see the contrasting styles between the two countries, whereas New Zealand placed that ball ever so beautifully into the space, whereas Australia run onto the ball.
New Zealand have just opened the gap slightly. They lead 28-25, almost a misunderstanding there, Southby and Cox. But Cox cleans up, brings it back to 2. 8 minutes left in the second quarter. George, high ball to Lockhagen. She gathers well, but a replay called. Tough call from Margaret Deegan.
But a call that's been made consistently throughout the championships, so the players are used to that sort of a call as being a replay.
Ooh, Cobb receives a bit from Vicky Edward, but holds the ground, gets the penalty, puts it bravely across court to a skipper. Now it's on to Southby.
Kath Cox very strong there under the post to take that rebound and put the shot in.
Southby's face showing it all then, the disappointment in the miss. Got to learn to let the mistakes go and get on with the next. Squire out of play for Australia. Cheryl Clark to take the penalty pass. Colling trying to work some space. Lockhagen always working closer to the post of the two New Zealand shooters.
Yes, we've seen over the tournament Belinda Colling, very much the playmaker for the New Zealand team, feeds beautifully to Donna Lockhagen.
Which justifies her use in the open team at wing attack if she is good in setting up spaces and reading play. Not that easy, though, a transference from one side of the court to the other, although it looks apparently easy.
It looks very easy, but the players that do make that transition do find it difficult, and they do take a little bit of adjustment.
This is the stumbling block of the circle. At goal attack, you're used to having the run through if you need it. At wing attack, you really have to work the edge of the circle nicely. Cox lines up from just inside the edge of the circle, but she has no fear from anywhere within the circle, leading Australia well. Australia equalises 29 apiece, and the turnover. The chance for Australia to hit the front as the lead has oscillated throughout the early stages of this game. Just under 6 minutes left until half-time. Southby decides to cheat some space closer to the post, and Clark throws herself into her work illegally.
Yes, unfortunately, you can't throw yourself on the ball on the ground like that. That's an offence.
At the ball, but not on the ball.
Yes.
Australia hit the front. They have the benefit of the centre to follow. Just a chance to catch their breath as Squire takes her time to regather. We do have ball people scattered around the perimeter of the court. Howie working to find space at the top. Southby strong onto the ball. Cobb hits the corner. The hold is offered by Southby, and Cox, that was nearly their undoing. There was no movement there.
Yes, Bernice reads that play very, very nicely and was positioned to try and get that ball. Just missed it by a tad.
Well, that feed was down the throat of Southby, but she collects herself and puts one through. Australia now lead by 2, 31-29. George looks to the back of the centre. Good pressure from Howie. She'll draw a penalty. The score at the end of the first quarter, 18-17 to New Zealand. Australia now comes back.
I think the teams are so evenly matched. What we see is a seesaw, goal for goal.
And Southby rues the pass. She put it to the ground, but behind Cox. Very difficult when you're Cox's height and you're on the run to gather a ball that's behind and low. Not a thoughtful feed, and one that could allow New Zealand to equalise. 31-30, the defending champions trail. George holding at the top. Colling puts on the hold, it's to the post. Oh, dribbles in for it, but it'll be enough. And how much the centres can affect the play. They, of course, just alternate, and that will never change, but depending on who scored the last goal can really give you a 2-goal jump or have you chasing the whole time. Yes. Oh, good work from Cobb.
That's why it's so very important that you must score off each of your centres.
Contact goes against Ordine Cobb. Chopping on the hand was indicated by Ibrahim. Colling, quick play, and a courageous one over the top of the 2 Australian defenders, and the crowd not liking that penalty. New Zealand now with the lead. And we've got a real mix in this crowd. Representatives from 18 nations competing in this 3rd World Youth Championship. From Canada, the host nation, to Lesotho, Sri Lanka, Barbados, Cook Islands, Jamaica, South Africa. All engrossed in this wonderful final. And whilst, of course, their own netball was important to them, they'll readily admit they've come to see the 2 giants of netball, Australia and New Zealand, do battle in the final.
I think some of the developing countries can learn just by watching more skilled players at work.
Cobb finds Cox. Howie, and again the movement stops for the Australian shooters, both caught on the same side. Bit of a stumbling block there for Australia. Good pressure from New Zealand defence.
It's Bernice Menny and Cheryl Clark doing an excellent job there to stop the movement of the 2 shooters and really box them in.
Perhaps although Clark gives away a bit of height, the combination with Menny is so good and the experience level so strong that they can counter that. 32 apiece. You'd be brave to predict the outcome of this game. Just sit back and enjoy the skills. We've seen so many talented players come through the respective lineups and into the open team. You think back to some of the players we saw at last World Youth Cup, the Taverners, the Ellises, now sitting in the Australian lineup. Players like Janine Lynch, who was not in the last World Youth Cup, but has come through recently as one of our younger players. Norwich Netballer of the Year. Big raps on her. Also in your current side, Jill, and now you've got to look at these babes, the babies, and work out who is the heir apparent.
They might be babes in age, but in doing the job out there, they're not babes, and they have a lot of experience behind them, and I'm sure we'll see a few faces in that open squad in the not-too-distant future.
Both Lee Gibbs, New Zealand's national coach, and Jill McIntosh. Here, of course, not just for a holiday, it's a working holiday to observe the form of these players and see just who is ready to take up the challenge and put the pressure on the national players. Hagen, oh, too much on it. One of the few shots from her that has been misjudged. 33 apiece, Australia, swift down court. Squire, oh, and it's a bad ball from Cox to Cobb. Cross court was dangerous enough. It sat at the top of the circle, something New Zealand relish, but well behind Cobb, who's got so much speed. Squire. Howie quick to play it on. Thought Menny might have had a go at that double up onto Howie, but she sat back protecting the circle. Vicky Edward.
see Peter Squire with the feed. Catherine Cock turns, but unfortunately a bad feed across the circle.
One of the basics in netball, to put the ball ahead of the player into the space, and that is half-time. They're locked at 33 apiece. Well, really, 3 more attempts could turn the game. 1 more attempt could turn the game. And we're back in business. Susie Howie taking the centre pass for Australia to start this third quarter, and immediately a turnover to New Zealand. Donna Lockhagen trying to make it 1 the difference, but Australia now get the chance to continue what they wanted to start from the centre pass. We should point out there's a positional switch. Vicky Roberts has come on for Australia at goalkeeper, and she has replaced Jane Branford.
And for New Zealand, Lorna Suafoa has come on at goalkeeper. Bernice Minnie has come out to goal defence, and Cheryl Clark has been taken from the court.
And in our naivety, that's something you and I were perhaps expecting to start for New Zealand.
Yes, I think we've seen this 7 from New Zealand, especially that defence line with Minnie and Suafoa in those positions, and that's what I was expecting to start. So it's not a surprise to me to see it come out.
Well, that's quite threatening that they can bring out a change that we think was perhaps a preference.
I think it's been one of their strengths. They have a very formidable bench, as we've already mentioned.
Well, for Vicky Roberts, the youngster who's had a meteoric rise this year for Australia, she featured for the Australian Institute of Sport in the National League as Cox takes it to a 2-goal lead, 35-33. Australia with the centre. She then was named in this squad and has risen to the New South Wales 21s. Australia with a blistering start for this third quarter. And Roberts perhaps one of the least experienced in the Australian lineup, but Norma Plummer, the coach, saying she has thrived on the opportunity, risen and grown with each outing on court through each training session, and is somebody who just loves to beat her opponent. Well, here's your chance, Vicky Roberts.
Vicky's shown us right throughout. Her attitude towards this event has been so positive. She's been so keen to please and done everything that Coach Plummer has asked of her, and she's been rewarded now, and now's her big chance to go out there and do it.
A couple of natural combinations, well, not that natural, but from the same states. Natalie Reid at goal defence and Vicky Roberts at keeper for Australia, both from New South Wales, so with few opportunities to be on court together. We've talked about the Howie-Southby combination from Melbourne Puma. Holly looks around, catch someone on first glance. Anna Robury rescues her. Solid performance from Colin. And once again, we've seen New Zealand recover when Australia split to a 3-goal lead. Lockhagen just catching Saranac. She put on the roll, but very nearly didn't catch vision of the ball.
Yes, Lockhagen demonstrating some of her basketball skills there. We must mention to our Australian viewers that Lockhagen also is in the New Zealand basketball national team, which is quite a feat.
Strong shot from Cox, and we can't criticise her yet for falling off the pace of the game. She's risen to the workload, the Australian vice-captain. Shooting has been close to immaculate. Fine hands, Colling again finds Lockhagen in good position. Scores are locked again. Howie, good pressure from New Zealand at the front of the Australian centre. Cox is looking to the circle to Howie, thinks better of it, but Edward with pressure, backed up by George. And Bernice Menny could well cause some havoc across this transverse line now that she's moved to goal defence.
Yes, so once again, just a bit of a casual feed coming across from Catherine Cox. She's just going to have to tighten up on that throw.
She's tried to work the area across court, across the face of the circle a few times, and it's come undone for her, so she should wipe that from the repertoire, but not the goals. They're firing nicely for her. These two teams will meet again this year in November, when both Australia and New Zealand meet at 21 level and open level in Fisher & Paykel International in Australia.
Yes, in Sydney, November 16, Entertainment Centre. So going to be a great clash.
It is, and I'm sure that's not on their minds at the moment. Only a gold medal and a World Youth title. Australia, of course, the reigning world champions, and their young counterparts would dearly love to emulate the performance of their senior players. Cox with a good drive, But the penalty goes against Southby. Use of arm in pushing off. Too much on it at the other end of the court. Starting to see a couple of errors come through from the teams in the feeds.
And you'll probably see it as the game progresses. Goal for goal. Everyone's very tense. They want to do the right thing. The pressure mounts as the minutes tick by. And I'm sure we'll see a few more errors creep in.
I think also the game a little more physical as it goes on. Both teams able to handle that. Well groomed for the pressure of an international final. Penalty pass or shot to Cox. No prizes for electing her option. Takes Australia to 2, 39-37. Australia leads the defending World Youth Champions. Edward with a fine charge at the ball. She was unsighted to Cobb. Came from the blind side and charged it down. And the crowd is quite vigorous. They're participating well in the game, which is great because sometimes without allegiance you just sit back and observe, but they're delighted in the skills. Vicky Roberts expecting that to fall Australia's way, but it's a New Zealand throw-in. Vicky Edward to take it. George.
Here we see Peter Squire just running into Cheryl Edward.
So the penalty will be reset by Ibrahim. Conning offloads to Lockhagen. Brings it back to 1.
Third quarter in any match is crucial, and if either team can establish a few goals break going into that last quarter, it really will be good for them.
And of course, you and I have just watched the playoff for bronze where England battled it out with Western Samoa. They actually did their damage in the second quarter and managed to get a 10-goal lead happening. And it sat on that for the rest of the match. Western Samoa leaving their run until the last quarter, and boy, did they run it down, but ran out of time. So England finishing in third will receive the bronze. Western Samoa in fourth. Jamaica 5. And Jamaica perhaps one of the hard luck stories of the event. We talked earlier about the two pools, but because of the crossover only happening in the playoff series, Jamaica and possibly South Africa could well have taken out 3 or 4.
Yes, it was unfortunate that Jamaica was seated in Australia's pool, as were South Africa, and they haven't had the opportunity of playing England. And we've just seen a beautiful passage of play from Australia, finishing in a goal.
Again, Cox putting the foot down, and Cobb read it well. The timing there nicely for Australia. They lead 41-39. That passage worth another look. We'll try and get that up for you in just a moment, but the crowd, yes, here it comes.
Into Howie, beautiful feed into Southby, cuts across the circle, finds Cox at the post, and she puts it in.
Good speed there from Catherine Cox. High ball to the corner for New Zealand, finds George. Colling drives the front, Lockhagen on the hold near the post. Plants the back foot. Back to 1 the difference. Just under 7 minutes left in this third quarter of the third World Youth Championship. Final between Australia and New Zealand. Robery, quick hands into Colling. 41 apiece. Nothing separating these two sides. They've sustained an incredible pace. The workloads are phenomenal for the two sides. It's a test of both mind and body. And that one hammered home by Cox.
Annie, I'm starting to get goosebumps. It's shaping up. Shaping up to be one of those heart-stopping finishes.
And we should say hello again to our New Zealand viewers as well as our Aussie fans to One World of Sport. No doubt once again strapped to their seats. You've got time to go and get a cuppa. This one has got you glued, no doubt. And you should be well trained watching Australia and New Zealand do battle. And the girls are doing both countries proud.
Of course, we should mention here if overtime should be needed, that is if both teams are locked on the same score at the end of the match, The procedure is that both teams will change ends. 5 minutes will be played. There will be a 1 minute break, another 5 minutes. Should the score still be equal, it'll be each centre pass, and it'll be the team that scores a 2-goal advantage will win the match. Let's hope it doesn't come down to that.
Oh, I hope they paid the power bill, because that could be a long night. 43 apiece, 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and it could well go down the wire. Cox trying hard to give Australia the advantage. She's had a brilliant game. Certainly has earmarked herself in this match as a contender for your national team, Jill.
Yes, that's what I've been wanting to see all tournament from Catherine, and thank goodness she's pulled it out when Australia have needed it.
Roberry trying desperately to keep it in play for New Zealand, but Squire, for Australia, the support player at wing defence, gives Australia the chance to take it to 2. Cox nails it. The radar is well and truly switched on for Catherine Cox, and there you see the Australian mums and dads. I don't know the technical name for them, but they've got these things that make an awfully loud clacking noise over there, Macca. And
they've been wonderful. They've been here all tournament, avidly supporting their offsprings and all the team, and it's really great to see them make the journey.
Papua New Guinea there on camera. Likewise, the Kiwi band of supporters renowned worldwide for following their team. In fact, I think, thinking back to the World Championships, were both in England, Birmingham last year, and 4 years previous in Sydney. I think irrespective of it being offshore, the crowd was perhaps 50-50 Australia, New Zealand. And don't they make a noise on the sideline?
It's wonderful, and it adds to the atmosphere, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about going inside to play. The atmosphere in this game is electric, in contrast to the final in Fiji, which was played outside. It just loses that little bit.
Of course, you even had a power failure in that game, not on court, but in terms of the lights. So
the lights just went out on us for no reason, and this was in the final quarter of the match, so it was a bit unfortunate that it happened then.
Just over 3 minutes left in this third quarter. It's seen Australia nudge the lead to 46-43. 3 goals only separating the two teams. Neither team able to push it past 3, and each time one's managed the 3, they've been hauled back by the other. Colling taking a time. Takes New Zealand to 44. Australian bench well supportive of their side. Coaching staff of both teams, a picture of composure. I think that belies what's happening underneath.
Very experienced coaching staff on both sides. Norma Plummer has coached Melbourne, coached nationally. She's coached in the National League. She has a lot of experience behind her.
So too the New Zealand staff. I think I can personally vouch for Tracy Fear's credentials, having played against her many, many times, and just as experienced now in the coaching scene for New Zealand. And of course, New Zealand using co-coaches, which they have for a few years, Jill.
Yes, at this underage level, they've adopted that procedure. They adopted it in New Zealand. We saw Lee Gibbs was a co-coach, and she's now come on to be the Silver Ferns coach.
Squire with a great touch in that passage for Australia, but New Zealand reply through their captain. They trail by 2, desperate before three-quarter time to try and level. 1 minute 35 remaining in this quarter. Colling with a long-range shot. We haven't seen many from her. Well, good touch from Reid, but Squire can't get around to support. New Zealand will get another chance. This is a closer shot for Colling, but the offload to Lochhagen is the option. And Lochhagen doesn't disappoint, won the difference, just over a minute.
We see a little bit of activity on the New Zealand bench, so we may see another change at the next break.
By contrast, Australia well settled, high ball to Lochhagen. Contact call goes against Australia. It'll be a penalty pass or shot for Lochhagen. She steadies. And they've drawn level, under a minute remaining. And that's just what New Zealand wanted. Able to go into the final quarter. Good turnover from Edward. What timing on an intercept to give New Zealand the chance to go to the break with a lead. Squire applies the pressure. Roberry looks to check the distance, which draws the attention of Ibrahim to the play. Colling on hold at the top. Lochhagen ventures well from the post. Could force a long shot from Colling. It's mid-range. She drops it through, and New Zealand have turned things around. They lead 47-46. Colling.
How quickly we can see the tide change. Moments ago, Australia are up by 3, and now New Zealand leading by 1, possibly 2.
And the timekeeper is up. That is a penalty indicated, and it's going to be taken. Vicky Roberts from Australia, the goalkeeper who came on at half-time, out of play. This is an important shot for Lochhagen. Good pressure from Reid. It drops, though, for Lochhagen. New Zealand go to the break with a 2-goal lead, 48-46, the defending champ. Welcome back to our live coverage of the final of the 3rd World Youth Netball Championships. Defending champions New Zealand lead by 2 goals. They turned it around just before the end of that 3rd quarter. They trailed by 3. And boy, did they turn things around. And joining me, Lee Gibbs, national coach for New Zealand. I'm going to be thumped on one side by a Kiwi and on the other by an Aussie.
Yes, hi Anne. Yes, the heart in the mouth stuff, and New Zealand looking good at times, Aussie looking good. Defensive work on both teams, forcing errors.
As you just said, while we had the break, amazing to see it expand to the 3 goals and then claw their way back, and it's happened throughout the match.
Yes, I think it's indicative, I guess, of that age of player. They just, at times, perhaps ease off, allow the opportunities to come.
Great ball there into Cox, gives Australia 48 goals. They trail by just the 1. And Jill Mack, the stats for the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, Eloise Southby, 14 from 17 for an 82%. Catherine Cox still shooting beautifully, 32 from 36 for an 85. We have Donna Lochhagen at 29 from 35 for an 83%. Belinda Colling doing very well, 18 from 19 for 95%.
Well, a 95% in international netball between Australia and New Zealand, none too shabby, as Colling adds another 1 to her total, takes New Zealand to 50. The defending champs with a 2-goal lead, and we've got 13 minutes and 38 seconds ahead of us. I hope you've got the ticker at home. Hello again to our viewers in Australia and New Zealand. And Lee, I'm really glad you could join us, because Jill and I are pretty exhausted here.
Well, I was doing a lot of cheering up the side, and I've got to obviously calm down watching here, but yeah, marvellous, very much Australia-New Zealand type of game, and wonderful entertainment.
Who have you seen as the key players for the New Zealand line?
I've been impressed with Vicky Edwards, the work she's done at wing defence, and of course Belinda Colling. Marvellous accuracy and work that she's doing out on court.
Very much the playmaker around the goal area for New Zealand, and evidence to why she runs at wing attack in your line. And Lochhagen puts another 1 on the board, spreads it to 2, 51-49. Australia in chase position. Nothing separating these teams throughout the match. Wonderful ball there from Cox to find Cox. 51 leads 50.
Hasn't that New Zealand-born Catherine Cox done a great job? I had to put that one in.
Oh dear, we've avoided saying that for a good 3 quarters. I'm disappointed you came now. She certainly has been a key play for Australia. The defensive switch for New Zealand to bring many out of goal defence, obviously to contain Cox.
Yes, I think Bernice has had to work hard for that. Cox has been able to play both deep and high in that circle, and New Zealand's defence working very hard, getting some turnover, but equally to the occasion, Australian attacking circle.
Once again, the tide has turned. Australia now level. They had the centre, the chance to take it to a 1-goal lead, but New Zealand now in possession. Lorna Suafoa holds it up. She's looking for Edward, who, as we've mentioned, has had a fine game, being very disruptive on the wing for New Zealand. Many working down court in attack. Robry looks for Lochhagen, and Roberts goes up, but she clips the arm on the way through. Lochhagen with the penalty, makes good. New Zealand lead by 1. And Lee, we were just discussing the overtime scenario, because we thought we may well have to settle in for some extra time.
What was the final format of overtime?
2 5s, and then at the end of that, if the teams are locked, they'll be playing to a 2-goal break. So we just said, have you brought dinner with you?
Well, I'm sure both teams won't want to have to go into extra time.
For our home audiences, it's 20 to 4 in the afternoon on Saturday, August 24, here in Toronto, Canada. the venue, the field house at the University of Toronto. And I don't think they see much faster on their track than they're seeing right now. Collision there, Colling and Squire. It'll go New Zealand's way. Many takes a penalty. Many and Edward working that mid-court well to assist an attack.
Excellent support through the court by the New Zealand defences to find Robury at the top of the circle. Ideal shooting position.
Oh, that one was for a 3-goal lead, almost an air ball. You see the smile. Well, it's gone now, but we just saw a sniff of a smile there from Colling, realising the shot had dropped. I think we can forgive her 1 or 2 errors. Still, she's been one of the most impressive.
I think that one's when Belinda would have turned to the scorers and said that was a pass, not a shot.
Jill, looking at it through Australian eyes, because you two have been very well behaved, I must say. It's difficult to do it without the passion and the loyalty. What does Australia need to do to tilt this back?
Just steady, make sure of every centre pass, make sure they score off their own, and then go for that one intercept that may be the winning goal that they need.
Just have to wonder, that miss from Cox, they're the ones that have fallen every time in this game for her. It's really boosted Australia. They trail by 3, 54-51, and just when she tried to nail it, it didn't happen. It's going New Zealand's way. They lead by 4, 55-51.
And look how New Zealand's attack is opening up. They're finding far more space through the court. The timing is better.
We commented Vicky Roberts replacing Jane Branford. Very talented, but one of the less experienced in the team. A lot of responsibility for the young player. She's working hard. You can't see it. It's just back off camera to get front position on Lochhagen. Turnover comes through Peter Squire. Australia with a chance to reduce the deficit.
That's what they needed, Australia. They need to score from this. They need to steady, make sure, put a great shot up and get the goal.
Well, I think you can look to Squire and Howie as two of the ones that will really be sniffing around for some intercepts.
The Squire and Harry are the ones with a lot of experience at National League behind them. And if anyone's going to do it for Australia, it will be those two.
It's vitally important for New Zealand to continue to do the work on defence, be working together, communicating. I think in these last few minutes, that is absolutely vital.
And that communication just lacking on the last play by Australia. Seeing Cox home alone under the post. Just over 8 minutes left in this gold medal match. New Zealand lead Australia by 1, 55-54. For New Zealand, my apologies for not notifying our viewing audience of that earlier. Lee, what will she bring to the game?
Well, I think just the fresh pair of legs, the crispness, the sharpness, putting Robury into centre adds another dimension there, that support through the mid-court, and just a change of chemistry there for New Zealand.
Helena Apapa on at wing attack for New Zealand. Robury at centre, Colling remains anchored at goal attack. 55 apiece, that overtime scenario. Looking sure as the match goes on.
And the pressure's really building. Each pass now becomes crucial. Each shot for goal, very crucial that they steady, remain calm, let the ball drop.
Southby drops 1 for Australia. They lead by 1.
Interesting to see the Australian interchange there, bringing Southby into the more key shooting role for that last move. I think that's the variety that keeps defences always on their toes.
Yeah, the Australian shooting style very much one of sharing the leads on court as Lochhagen equalises for New Zealand. And composure there on the Kiwi bench. I'm sure it's not really like that inside league.
Absolutely not. I've been there and tons of things are going through your mind.
We just spoke of every pass counting. We've just seen an error from Australia. New Zealand with the throw-in. And Lorna Suafoa portioning her side to settle. Many drops a short feed through the midcourt.
Just what Peter Squire lurking around that centre court area is waiting for. The loose feed that comes through.
Cox with the heels flapping on the edge of the circle, can't net it.
Vital turnover again for New Zealand. They've got to work that ball through with confidence. Often when you're this close, the tendency is to be tentative, but you've really got to get that ball moving.
Well, Lee, thanks very much for your comments. We'll let you relax and enjoy the last few minutes. I'm I'm sure you'd like to do that. That'll give my right arm a rest, because to our New Zealand viewers, she's thumped the heck out of it. Australia in possession. Top two teams in the world locked at 56 apiece with just under 6 minutes left in the match. Of course, they're playing it out for a gold medal. Cox for the lead. Just sneaks over the rim of the goal. Australia by 1, 57-56, and it's in New Zealand's centre.
And this is where it really gets tough. It starts to hurt. For 2 weeks of the tournament, tired legs. Players have to put their minds past it, remain focused, remain calm, and let the skills do the work for them.
And just as we saw Australia stumble in attack moments ago, New Zealand too, with a handling error from Robery. Cobb, long ball, finds Cox. Stationary, but nice and wide. A little too far for New Zealand to do damage. This one will go against Colling. Australia with a 1-goal lead. Colling shouting to her side, heads up. Nat Reid will take the penalty for Australia. Howie trying to find space on the circle for the feed. Works the corner. Now Cobb at the top. Looks to Cox. Oh, that's a great shot from Cox. Australia by 2, and the bench senses victory, though they've still got just under 5 minutes remaining. Anything can happen. Spire drops back to find the space.
Annie, I'd still like to see Southby and Cox just a little bit more mobile in that shooting circle.
Well, Cox is so keen to get on with shooting, she'll almost take them from outside the circle. That was a magnificent shot from the young Australian goal attack, the Australian vice-captain. And now another. A touch from Australia gives them possession. Howie to Cobb. High ball over the top to Cox. This to take it to 60. That was a rush shot. I think she might have popped a bit on the arm from Bernice Menion. Apologise if I'm wrong. It goes against Australia, though. Australia lead the defending champions by 3. Harapa, Robery.
It's imperative Australia keeps attacking. Don't become too defensive. Don't become too tentative, because the errors will creep in.
Yeah, can't sit on a 3-goal lead. There's 3.5 minutes left. Well enough for many goals. Steadying time for New Zealand. The penalty's advanced. Lophagen snatches it out of Australian hands, and it had a little too much adrenaline going for her, I think. That was an important chance for New Zealand. Needed composure, and it's through Reid's hands, so they'll get another go at it.
Vitally important. Last 3 minutes of the match. Anyone's game still.
Back play to Meni. She's looking deep down. Arapa is quick through Australia to take that ball. This goes against Nat Reid. Penalty shot will be taken by Lophagen. Roberts is trying to block Colling out from a rebound position. Lophagen looks at it. That one, thinks about it, but drops to the difference. 2 minutes 30 left on the clock. Howie for Australia, puts it to Cobb, long ball, oh. Suafo had thought about coming out, but lacked the commitment. Cox to take Australia to 3, they hit 60. Still over 2 minutes remaining. Oh, good pressure from Australia, but Colling backs it up. Robery to Colling, she's just inside. She's looking for a closer range.
New Zealand just a bit more committed to pouncing on the loose ball down in their attack line. Australia sitting back and watching it.
That takes it to 2, and I'd suggest still ample time for New Zealand.
Oh yes, 2 goals with 1 minute 40 to go. Still anybody's game.
It's important for Australia to keep moving in attack, particularly in the circle, and cut out those long balls. Suafo was looking for that one.
Yes, they're dicing, putting the ball up and floating it across that circle edge.
Cox nails it. The goalposts have taken punishing treatment from the goals of Catherine Cox, who slammed them in. Australia lead by 3. Just 1 minute 15 away from a gold medal. Australia lead the defending champions 61 to 58. And a handling error. A as we've seen throughout the championships, very quick on the replay. Colling checks the circle as she drives towards it. And I'd suggest time's going to beat New Zealand.
Well, you're a brave woman to commit that, but...
Well, it's under a minute, 3 the difference. I think I'm pretty confident in saying it's going to be gold Australia, silver New Zealand. I think the Australian 21s will have turned things around as New Zealand desperately try to put another one up. Fast break from them. A replay against them. The Australian bench is in the air. They're applauding their team already. They sense the medal, the one that counts at this level. And we can safely say the Australian 21s have emulated their senior counterparts. Another world title heading towards Australian shores as Southby applauds herself. They're in the air. The timer is up. Australia leads 62-58.
And how sweet it is.
Well, there's no whistle yet, but people are celebrating already. The fist goes in the air for Australian captain Susie Howie, and it's gold to Australia. Australia has taken out the 3rd World Youth Netball Championships here in Canada. 62-58 the scoreline, and a precious one if you're an Australian supporter.